Hello, my name's Peter Mullin. Firstly, I'd like to offer my sympathy to all the people who were affected by the earthquake in China. I've recently returned from China and seen some of the devastation that occurred there. I've also seen the efforts of the Chinese people, Chinese army, to help people to overcome this traumatic experience. Actually seeing some of the devastation on CCTV 9, which is the English speaking program in China, moved me quite considerably. The efforts made by people, not just the army or the police, but individuals who rushed to help the people affected by the earthquake, was quite emotional. Also, the efforts on the part of the politicians in China, who are often so quickly condemned for so-called human rights violations. I actually saw a very human side to some of these politicians. They were out there daily, encouraging people, talking to people, building up morale when it was needed, ensuring that things were being done. This is the human rights that China has today. Rights that the people of China can see for themselves, and if people wish to, in the West can see. But the reason for my actually making these comments today was due to comments made to me by someone I know who, having known I'd returned from China, asked if I'd been anywhere near the earthquake zone. And I said no, fortunately, but that China was doing a wonderful job. To which he replied that the aid is not getting through, according to Sky News. And this, I was so taken aback with this, having spent the last 3 weeks in Chongqing, seeing for myself on television the efforts made by the Chinese People's Liberation Army, PLO, whatever you want to call it, the police officers, ordinary Chinese people, expats who actually live in China, trying their best to do what they can to get things going. Also the international community, who have responded unanimously in trying to help these people over this disaster. That such an impression can be made to someone through Sky Media is criminal, to say the least. In my opinion, it is. I witnessed and had first-hand knowledge of some of the devastation that was there. My niece, who is a student at Chengdu University, along with several colleagues, was quick to volunteer and go to the area to help people and do whatever they can. And she told me of the stories how people had worked together, come together to try to help each other. There was a lot of government representation within the area, trying to ensure that things got moving, that people had what they needed. There was requests from the politicians themselves to ordinary Chinese people outside of the quake zone to help, and the Chinese people responded unanimously. There was mobile homes being made, people working, sending money, doing what they can, from young children collecting money to cooks going out there to cook the food so that the rescuers were able to get the food that they needed. Some of the heart-rending stories of the rescues and things like this. It was truly an emotional experience for me, one that I had not experienced to that extent. I'd often heard of disasters happening in other parts of the world, but I've never been so close to one, and it opened my eyes to what the effects can be. There was a lot of children who lost their parents, and a lot of parents who lost their children. One of the things which I think is very humane that the government is trying to do is to get parents that lost children adopt those children that lost parents. In this way it's felt that together they can overcome the trauma of what they've gone through. A very humane thought. There's been a lot of effort in ensuring that disease is curtailed and prevented. There's been a lot of effort in ensuring that the artificial lakes are not made a danger to people already living and suffering because of the quake. All over China, people are doing what they can. I myself saw in Chongqing where they had a job seminar. People from the quake area could go along. They were being offered jobs, housing, benefits to try to help themselves get back to a normal life. You can't do this sort of thing without Chinese government's backing. There was Hong Kong, who was a lot of stars. Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Andy Lau were all coming together. Many more that I don't know about, but China are well known, who were having concerts. So much was put into trying to get people back to a normal life. So much humanity was there, which from what I hear seems to be neglected in reporting of the West. I'm sure that there were a lot of people from the international community who also witnessed this very same thing. It was evident within the Chinese TV media how much the Chinese politicians appreciated the efforts of the international community. They themselves were publicly thanking these people. This video that I'm now making is in response, as I said, to comments made to me, but also comments that were made in the media about Chinese human rights records. This human rights terminology is something that the media seems to pick up and to use at the drop of a hat. Is it not time again for the media to be responsible in their reporting and report facts? If one person can say to me, the aid is not getting through, according to the Sky News, how many other people are going to have the misrepresentation of what China's actually doing? Now, China doesn't need me to defend itself, doesn't need anybody. China's defence is in the actions that it does. If people really wanted to know what China was really like, they could go as I've been. Or they could go on the internet and read articles about China there. Or they could listen to CCTV 9 and get reports from there. But they don't. And while people like Sky Media can misrepresent what's really happening